It's always interesting, like, because one of the things that we like to focus on here is we're going to say define the problem in solvable terms. So sometimes people say, hey, you should diversify. Okay, what does that mean, diversify? Does that mean diversify a portfolio? How am I going to measure it? How do I know if I'm diversifying it the right way? How do I know when to make changes? Who's going to give me guidance? And oh, by the way, what are the tax consequences on my diversification? And are we talking about diversifying in all asset classes or just in one asset class? So today, what we're going to talk about globally is 5 ways to best diversify your wealth and strategically show you how to at least get your big toe wet and start the process of how to figure that out. And oh, by the way, we also have the Epic Financial Freedom Map, which is something that can show you exactly not only where you are on the map and where you want to go, but how to get there faster. So here, let's talk about diversifying wealth. Let me just give you a quick definition and then we'll play off this a little bit. Diversification is simply the strategy of spreading out your money into different types of investments that will reduce risk while still allowing your money to grow. A lot of people like to say that you cannot become wealthy without intelligent diversification. So here's the way I look at it. If you understand what your investment philosophy is, core values, understand how your mindset is generationally, how you were brought up. If you have a scarce mindset, if you have an abundant mindset when it comes to money, once you could really internalize that, what begins to happen is the players that could come into your world that could give you good education begin to step in and to really show you exactly what you're thinking, but can put it out into your world. So what do I mean by that? Well, I say it all the time. You want to make sure that your accountant, your financial advisor, your insurance agent, your trust officer are all on the same page because they work for you. You don't work for them. They get paid by you. They don't pay you. So if you can understand that, and now when we talk about diversifying wealth and we talk about every single month saving 15 to 20%, deploying this capital into different strategies, there's no overnight success. This really comes to understanding as we diversify within the different types of investments and or investment classes that are uncorrelated, then what begins to happen is you turbocharge your overall financial world, not just one bucket. So let's get into what assets are. And let me just give you the big boy girl definition where, people at cocktail parties always want to sound intelligent. I've seen a lot of wealthy people that haven't even graduated college that maybe not have a grasp of vocabulary, but understand business at a high level because they know how to communicate to other people. But let's give the quick definition of an asset. It's a resource with economic value that an individual owns or controls with the expectation that it will provide future value. This could be any number of things, cars, jewelry, or even baseball cards. My sons get those all the time. Material asset can be unpredictable and their value can fluctuate immensely over time. So listen, if you're into collecting cards, jewelry, all of these, let's call it hard assets for now, these things tend to jump when things become uncertain, right? So having this in the overall mix, you want to make sure that you're an expert, make sure that once again, everybody's tied on the same page. So there's genuinely an understanding of exactly what you're trying to do. There's not too much leveraging power off of these as there could be in other asset plays. But at the end of the day, once again, tying into hard assets, especially when there's a flight to quality, can be a beneficial thing. So let's talk a little bit about real estate. Now, real estate is a very common and reliant form of investment that takes many forms. Residential and commercial real estate are the 2 most common forms and provide an opportunity to diversify wealth through lower risk, higher long-term returns. Now, let me just dial it back. So if you purchase real estate as an investor, there's 4 things that are going to happen, right? Number 1, you buy the real estate and you get cash flow. You get a mortgage interest write-off. You get to depreciate that asset on your tax return. So if you're making $100,000 here, you buy a rental property here, that depreciation may allow your 100 reportable income go down to 80. So you're paying less in taxes. And last but not least, you're buying it today because you want to sell it in the future. So we call those 4 different spins or rates of return off the same dollar. Now, as you step into a more, let's say if you rinse and repeat that model, but now you're looking for bigger tax write-offs, once you step into the commercial space and own over 50% of it, then the write-offs become massive. Different game, higher level game, more responsibility, typically more money out of pocket in general terms, not specific, unless you're owner occupied. But with that being said and done, as we understand the real estate game, and you complement it with other investment or other asset opportunities, you could then turbocharge your overall wealth. And 5, 10 years later, things that begin to start happening, the banks start knocking on your door to give you money to put it into other investment opportunities. So let's talk a little bit about stocks, because once again, the overall planning, this has a very important piece, long-term view only. Stocks represent fractional ownership in corporations and are the foundation of many individual wealth portfolios. 401ks and mutual funds are some of the most common areas of investments in the stock market, which can often generate slow but relatively safe growth. What they're talking about there is the S&P 500, just so we're clear. If I was to tell you that since 1980 until December 31st, 2021, the greatest chart ever, what they're going to show you, and don't take my word for it, always double check everything I'm saying, but they're going to show you that the market in the S&P sector, including reinvestment of dividends, has averaged 12.5% a year. They're also going to tell you that intra-year, there's been on average a 14% decline. So stop, average 12.5, intra-year, a decline of 14.5%. 35 out of those 42 years, though, the market ended up. So let me translate. If you put money into the S&P and never touched it since 1980, not even for college, for a house, for taxes, for anything, and just stayed there, you would have done very well with that money. The challenge is all you folks out there don't have the education and the behavioral finance mindset on how to stay within it when the world starts getting crazy and there's economic winter. So this is why it's important. We always say this, to make sure there's a team that sits and fits with your core value, that understands your investment philosophy. So yeah, this is a great place to be in the overall mosaic financially, but we want to be able to diversify in uncorrelated assets. With that being said, the market long-term can always give you a good boost, especially when you learn how to leverage off of this and buy other assets. Now, folks, check it out. We're going to talk about crypto. I'm not an expert in crypto. I'll be the first one to tell you that. And that's why it's important when you get a team, you find yourself a crypto expert if they exist. But let me say one thing about it. If you buy and hold and you diversify and it's part of a monthly or yearly strategy, I'm good with it. If you think you're going to go buy your next house off of it, then I'm going to run the other direction as fast as I can. If somebody tells you that, hey, give me money for crypto in the next 6 months, I'm going to quadruple it, don't let them in your house, they're going to rob your jewelry. But with that being said, cryptocurrency is a virtual currency which is impossible to counterfeit and is not issued by a central authority, making it immune to governmental manipulation. You can't counterfeit it. I'm sure 10 years from now we're going to find a different story. It's issued by a central authority, making it immune, doubt that. And government manipulation, they're going to get their hands in it at some point. But with that being said and done, speculation in the crypto market lately has resulted in immense volatility, including massive gains and massive losses. Trading anything becomes a nightmare scenario when economic winter comes your way. Now, economic winter is in different asset classes. In other words, the market could go down, but real estate could go up. Real estate in the market could go down, crypto can go up. Crypto could go down, the market could go up. This is why it's important to diversify within and amongst asset classes. In the middle of this, we could talk about it a little bit later. Go ahead and click the link below. Once you have something that is steady and guaranteed and is the benchmark, is the foundation where you could deploy this capital in other directions, that's where you're protected from the volatility. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. So we're going to talk about real assets. We have precious metals, gold and silver, and then we have natural resources, oil and natural gas. Now check it out, folks. I don't know when you're going to see this video, right? But in this last week, they came out with the new inflation numbers, which is 8.5%, and that's the highest it's been in 40 years. If we took out food and energy, core inflation, it's at 6.5%. It's the highest it's been since 1982. This is real information, so you got to check it out. With that being said, though, we know that there's certain folks, chief economists, that are beginning to say that inflation has hit its worst, that it's going to start coming down again. And they're saying this because the price of oil has recently gone down, as well as the price of gas. I'm not going to buy it only because they didn't give us a warning that inflation was going to come. So to tell us that this is the end of it, it always makes me, want to think twice about anything I hear situationally based on a report. The truth is we've printed so much money. We're in the process of changing our money supply or what our money looks like through the printed money. And at the end of the day, they're going to raise rates, at least according to Jerome Powell, 11 times between this year and the end of 2023. But yes, if you own oil and gas, and yes, if you have some gold bars in the basement or wherever you want to keep your gold, what begins to happen is you have a model that's going to allow you to have other uncorrelated assets that give you that permission to earn a rate of return while other things are being challenged. And not to kind of say it over and over again, diversifying within and amongst asset classes that are uncorrelated, the overall, and Ray Dalio says 13 asset classes, now all of a sudden what's beginning to happen is your money's going to start multiplying. Permanent life insurance, number 5, let's get into it. Here's the quick definition. Life insurance is one of the most efficient vehicles to leave money income tax-free to your beneficiaries after you pass on. The cash value that accumulates inside these policies are an excellent way to diversify in non-correlated assets and provides a safety net to ensure that your loved ones can live comfortably once you pass on or shuffle off this mortal coil. Okay, great. I just gave you the definition if you die, right? But here it is. When you look at your overall financial mosaic and you begin to figure out on your monthly savings, 15 to 20%, how you could begin to run money through these insurance policies that can be utilized to diversify within and amongst other asset classes, what begins to happen is now you have stability because of the insurance piece and the inherent guarantees that are come with it by state law and by contract, and they're uncorrelated to the fluctuations of real estate, stock market, and other asset classes. And as a result of it, when economic winter comes in any specific sector, you now have proper balance, and there's a way forward for your money to multiply, not just diversifying and compounding in one bucket, but how to compound your wealth overall. And the mindset should always be, how do I consistently compound within and amongst asset classes on a daily basis overall? So check it out, diversify your wealth. And what does that mean? Okay, we talk about it all the time. Make sure that you have a game plan and a map. Make sure you know where you are on the map and make sure you know where you want to go. And while you're on the map, please make sure there's no dirt roads, there's no potholes, and there's no stop signs. With that being said, if there's any videos you want us to do, add it in the comment section. If you have any other questions, go ahead, click the link below. One of the team members, there's no obligation on your part, will sit down and take you through our success process, answering any questions that you have. And once again, we want to thank you because every day we're bringing out content and information for being part of the channel and checking in with us. Make it a great day.